In a world that constantly urges us to be complacent and put the needs of others above our own, Stoicism emerges as a beacon of wisdom, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of our self-worth and the importance of protecting our energy and integrity. Have you ever felt exhausted from trying to please everyone around you? Have you found yourself sacrificing your own needs and desires for the well-being of others, only to feel empty and aimless? Stoicism teaches us that true generosity lies not in sacrificing our happiness, but in finding a healthy balance between giving and taking care of ourselves. It reminds us that saying no is not an act of selfishness, but an affirmation of our autonomy and a recognition that our worth does not depend on our ability to please others. It is critical to understand that being kind does not mean sacrificing our integrity. True kindness arises from a place of authenticity and compassion, and often involves saying no when necessary to preserve our own mental and emotional health. But what happens when our generosity knows no bounds? How does it affect us when we burn out to provide warmth to others, setting aside our own integrity? The story of that horse and donkey on the farm invites us to reflect on this dilemma. The donkey, in a gesture of genuine friendship, advises the horse how to take a well-deserved rest, but at what cost? In taking on the horse's responsibilities, is he not sacrificing too much? The Stoics teach us to practice self-reflection, questioning our actions and decisions in order to live in harmony with reason and virtue. They remind us of the importance of setting boundaries in our relationships, avoiding compromising our authenticity and well-being for the sake of others. The Stoic maxim, "Don't set yourself on fire to warm others," urges us to cultivate balanced relationships, where both parties contribute fairly and neither is sacrificed excessively. It reminds us that offering help without limits can lead to emotional and physical exhaustion, compromising our ability to provide support sustainably. Stoic wisdom also alerts us to the illusion of infinite reciprocity. While it is noble to give without expecting anything in return, it is crucial to understand that reciprocity has its limits. Expecting perpetual recognition and gratitude can lead to disappointment and inner conflict when these expectations are not met. Although it is natural to expect reciprocity, Stoicism reminds us that we have no control over the actions of others, only over our own decisions and reactions. Epictetus' wisdom teaches us to accept events as they occur, without creating illusory expectations or attempting to control them. We recognize that what we consider good or bad is related to our rational choices. It is vital to understand that reciprocity will not always be equal and to avoid creating expectations that lead to disappointment and frustration. The key is to focus on what we can control, ensuring that our actions are genuinely productive and not wasting energy on situations over which we have no influence. The practice of moderation, one of the Stoic virtues, becomes our guide in the midst of the many demands and limitless requests we face in daily life. Often, we find ourselves being asked for favors that those around us could do for themselves. But where do we draw the line? Stoicism offers us the tool to define clear boundaries and make them real in our lives. By acting in moderation, we maintain control over our actions, avoiding patterns that wear down our emotional well-being. Through this story below, about a mother and daughter, we understand how overcare can impede personal growth and keep us trapped in a cycle of unilateral giving. The mother named Elena and her daughter, Sophia. Elena was a loving and dedicated woman whose only desire in life was to see her daughter happy and protected. Since Sophia was just a child, Elena had always been there to care for her, protect her and meet her every need. For Elena, there was no sacrifice too great when it came to her daughter's well-being. She would stay up nights when Sophia was sick, giving up her own desires and ambitions to be available at all times. Sophia, for her part, grew up accustomed to this level of care and protection, relying fully on her mother to solve any problems she faced. Over the years, Sophia grew into a young and talented woman, but her personal development had been limited by her mother's excessive care. Despite her adulthood, Sophia still depended on Elena to make important decisions and face the challenges of everyday life. Elena had inadvertently created such a close bond with her daughter that it had hindered her personal growth. Sophia felt trapped in a cycle of emotional dependency, unable to take charge of her own life and face the world on her own. One day, life took an unexpected turn when Elena suddenly became ill and was forced to spend time in the hospital. For the first time in a long time, Sophia found herself alone, facing life without the constant care and protection of her mother. At first, Sophia felt lost and overwhelmed, not knowing how to make decisions or solve problems on her own. But over time, she began to realize that she had more strength and ability than she thought. As she took on new responsibilities and overcame challenges, Sophia experienced personal growth she had never imagined possible. Gradually, Sophia began to realize that her mother's overcare, although well-intentioned, had kept her trapped in a protective bubble that prevented her from developing as an individual. She realized that to reach her full potential, she needed to learn to be independent, to make decisions for herself and to face life's challenges with courage and determination. Eventually, Elena recovered from her illness and returned home, but things were no longer as they were before. Sophia had learned to set healthy boundaries, take care of herself and take charge of her own life. Although she still loved her mother with all her heart, she no longer depended on her in the same way. Elena and Sophia's story is a poignant reminder of how overcare can impede personal growth and keep us trapped in a cycle of one-sided giving. Sometimes, the most loving act we can do for our loved ones is to allow them to grow, learn and face life on their own, even if that means letting them fly free. It is crucial to practice generosity in a balanced way, setting clear boundaries to preserve our peace and well-being. Remember the wise words of Emperor Marcus Aurelius: "A man's job is to stand upright, not to be held up by others." In this delicate balance, we discover true generosity that benefits others as well as ourselves. It is natural to want to help others and to be kind, but what happens when that generosity becomes a constant sacrifice of our own needs and self-esteem? The Stoics warn us about the dangers of losing our individual identity in the process. They remind us that self-care and self-worth are fundamental to a balanced and meaningful life. Cicero urges us to take time for ourselves, to recognize our emotions and needs, and to set healthy boundaries when necessary. By honoring our authenticity, we not only enrich our inner world, but we can also offer balanced and genuine generosity to others. By imposing boundaries and practicing self-discipline, we become strong beings capable of defending our integrity and worthy of the respect of others. As Cicero reminded us, what we think of ourselves is far more important than what others think of us. Therefore, the next time we find ourselves in a situation where our boundaries are challenged, let us remember the power contained in that little word "no." By uttering it, we are defending ourselves. By uttering it, we are defending ourselves and reaffirming our own value, thus setting a precedent for authentic and balanced relationships in all areas of our lives. Life constantly challenges us to find the balance between giving and taking care of ourselves. In this journey towards authenticity and well-being, Stoicism emerges as a compass, guiding us towards a deeper understanding of our relationships and ourselves. Saying no can be an act of self-love, an affirmation of our autonomy and a reminder that our worth does not depend on our ability to please others. Through self-control and self-reflection, we learn to discern between genuine requests and demands that drain us, allowing us to prioritize our needs without feeling guilty. It is essential to recognize that Stoicism does not invite us to cynicism or distrust, but to a deeper understanding of human nature. By practicing discernment, we can choose to surround ourselves with people who truly value our support, building relationships based on mutual respect and genuine reciprocity. Setting boundaries is not an act of selfishness, but a manifestation of self-love and self-respect. Through self-care and self-discipline, we become guardians of our own energy and emotional well-being, learning to recognize and remove ourselves from those people who constantly drain us. Today, as we say goodbye, I want to remind you of the powerful lesson we have learned together: the importance of knowing how to set boundaries. Let us always remember the words of Marcus Aurelius: "A man's job is to stand upright, not to be held up by others." It is time to empower ourselves, to take charge of our lives and be the architects of our destiny.